All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another Digital Nomad Beyond 50 live cafe. Now, this is an event that we have on a monthly basis for digital nomads beyond 50. This is a resource social network that is designed to inspire as well as to inform those who are in their mid-40s on up, who are either currently digital nomads, as well as those who are planning in the planning stage, or those who are just simply curious about this lifestyle and whether it just might be something for them as well. So to get us started, as I mentioned before, our Q&As are an interview, and today I have with us Kiya Wilson of Kiya reRuns, and we'll get a little bit more of her background. But we also, as I mentioned before, alternate these events with live cafe socials, which is an opportunity for a free-form conversation among those in our community. I say we laugh, we play, we network, and also give a prize away, which we will also be doing today. So those who are enjoying their Mother's Day, since we have a smaller group today than usual, you guys get a really good chance of winning the giveaway gift as well. So as I mentioned before, today we do have Kiya Wilson. She has 17 years plus experience as a nurse. And she decided, because she also loves travel, that's one of her passions, to also become a wellness coach and direct that desire into being a travel health coach, which she's going to be sharing with us today. She also has Kiya reRuns on YouTube. And in addition to that, she is also our physical readiness guest expert for our Life Map workshop retreat that we do run out of here in Medellin, which is where we are right now. And just lucky to have her here with us in person. So Kiya, we do have a couple of people in the audience, and I'd like, if you could, just give every one of you, starting with Doreen, if you could take yourself off of mute and just give us a brief introduction. I know you are a brand new member of Digital Nomad Beyond 50, so yay, jumping right in there and participating in this. Please let us know a little bit about yourself, where you are living, where you're from, where you are right now, and where are you in your digital nomad process as well?
Okay, so I'm Canadian, and I grew up in Saskatchewan. I currently live in Toronto, Ontario, and I feel like there's something missing in my life. That I used to have a lot of adventure in my life early on in my life, and I feel like I've gotten very stagnant. So this really intrigues me, and this lifestyle. And I think, okay, could I do it? Anyway, so I'm just dipping my toe in, but I'm very interested and excited to learn about it. So thank you for the opportunity.
Great. And you are definitely in the right place at the right time to start dipping your feet in and checking out the possibilities for you. We also have Maura O'Rourke.
Thank you.
You just joined, and yes, thank you for taking your mic off and telling us about your background, where you are right now, where you're planning to be, and where are you in your digital nomad journey?
Hi, I'm originally from Ireland, as you may gather from my accent, but I live in New York City, which is where I am currently. Yeah, I'm an avid traveler. I traveled around the world. I've been to Medellin, I've been to Colombia actually twice. And as I always say, Colombia are the Irish version of the Irish are in Europe, the Colombians in South America. We're like soulmates, I think. We've the same a lot of the same mentality and mindset. But anyway, that's why I rarely ever go back to a country, and but that one I do make an exception for. But yeah, so I mean, being Irish, we travel the world. We are a nation of immigrants, and so I've traveled all over the world, and I've always tried to figure out how to merge my work professional life into a nomadic life, and I think that's just becoming after the pandemic become more and more something that I'm focused on. I thought I had it sussed with the current company I worked, but then they banned you working from overseas. But I'm in a highly regulated business, so I guess I understand that. But anyway, so that's a bit about me. So yeah, just curious on how I could transition out of what I currently do and become more nomadic.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you for joining us, Maura. And Fawn, we know each other. We go way back, don't we? You're one of our charter digital nomad beyond. You're one of our charter digital nomad beyond 50 members.
I didn't realize that, but I guess you're right.
Yes, from 2021, because I was in the process of planning the summit, and I had reached out to you, and then we finally got a chance to meet each other in person when I was in Istanbul last year, and
that's right.
Also in Albania when you were visiting, when I was living there for a period of time, for a month last year. So please tell us, where are you in your process?
Well, okay, so I started my digital nomad journey in January of 2018, and pretty much did a combination of slow travel, fast travel for, well, until twenty twenty-one. I mean, the pandemic kind of got in the middle of all of that and really messed up my plans.
How well I know it.
Yeah. I actually had to shelter in place in Turkey because I couldn't get anywhere. There were no flights. And then what happened is I fell in love with Turkey, and I fell in love with the Turkish people. And so after I was in Bosnia, I returned to Istanbul, and I've basically been using it as my base for, traveling, well, basically wherever I want to go, which is included, North Africa and the Balkans, and even Mexico, Central America, and South America. And why is that? Well, Turkish Airlines flies everywhere.
Yes.
And they have
fabulous airlines too.
they have the most direct flights of any airline I've ever seen. And so from here, I can literally get anywhere in the world within 12 hours. So it's pretty compelling to be here. Although the funny thing is, I'm getting to a point where I'm almost done with Istanbul. I think it might take another year to 18 months, but I'm just about ready to move out of Istanbul and live I'm not leaving Turkey, but I am leaving Istanbul, and I'm looking at a couple of other places to hang my hat, so to speak.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm really curious to hear because in my experience, I've only seen and been in Istanbul, and of course very much have fallen in love with it myself. But the next time I go back, I want to start exploring some of the other areas beyond Istanbul, because I've heard a lot of wonderful things from a lot of people.
It's very true, but pretty much what you have to do is decide. I mean, you have to kind of decide, all right, which region do I want to see? Do I want to see the Mediterranean Aegean part of Turkey? Do I want to visit central Anatolia, which is where Pamukkale is? Do I want to see southeast Turkey, which is where Mardin and the oldest Syriac monastery is in the world? Or do you want to go to the Black Sea region, which is a completely different experience? And I've been to southeast. I would highly recommend it. I've been along the Aegean and done that whole thing, and I would highly recommend that for a bunch of different reasons. I've done central Anatolia, and that was fun. Mark and I drove all through the Turkish countryside one year, and just had the best time.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we'll hear about that.
I have not been to the Black Sea or Trabzon, and that's next on my list.
Excellent. Well, you and I will have to have more of a chat, because I would like to get more details on that. But now we have one other person to continue with here, and that is with Kiya. And I know that I don't know whether you've all have started, making some notes as far as the questions you'd like to ask, but I'm sure that the first question that I'm sure is on the top of your mind, because was on the top of my mind when I first came across her, is how did she decide to start this business as a traveling, health coach? And what was the motivation for her to do that? And I know that you had some physical challenges yourself that sort of sparked that, but I know that you have more information to share with us about that. So go ahead. Let's hear it, Kiya.
Thank you, Siobhan. Thank you for having me here. It's very nice to meet all of you. I have questions for you guys too, so stay tuned for that. So I became the travel health coach. It's been a series of events, actually. I started my travel life back in 2016, 2017, when I decided that I wanted to move abroad. And my initial intention was to become an expat and to move to France. Now, I've been a nurse for over 17 years, and back in 2010, one of my focuses was on prevention rather than maintenance. I was tired of becoming accustomed to having to help patients in the middle of their disease processes, when I knew that I had an opportunity to help them before their chronic conditions got to the point that they had been where they needed to see me as a nurse. And so I was looking into opportunities at that time to work with people on prevention, eating well, moving more, and just improving overall wellness. And one of the topics I brought up was as an RN personal trainer. But back in 2010, it wasn't a thing. And every nurse and every physician that I asked about this particular line of work, they couldn't give me any information because there really wasn't anything going on. So I kind of just moved on and continued my nursing practice. And when I decided to move abroad, I started to come back into this. From 2017 until about 2019, December of 2019, I went back to graduate school to get my MBA. And in that time, there was so much going on in my life. I was working full time. I was taking a full-time course load in graduate school. I was going through a divorce. I had 2 kids in school. And I had been very active. I was running in 2015, I ran in 15 races. In 2016, I did 8 races. And these are half marathons, more than 10-mile races, let's just say that. So I was very in shape, very healthy. But in 2017, something had to go. I mean, too much was going on. There was another traumatic event in my life, and usually for me and for many people, the first thing to go is the health and wellness, the exercise and the eating right. Takeout is very easy, relying on other people to prepare your meals, without having to think about it. It's very easy. And I started to rely on that because I had so many other things to do, working out and moving more just kind of fell to the wayside. And so I gained 75 pounds. Now, this weight gain didn't stop me from travel. I still enjoyed traveling. I've always loved traveling since I was 18 years old. When I took my first international trip, it was, that was it for me. But it was a lot more difficult to do because I was living a sedentary lifestyle. I was eating extremely poorly. I would get short of breath when I would walk a couple of blocks. I had always dreamed of traveling to France, and I had an opportunity to go to Paris for the very first time, dream come true. And I couldn't walk a couple blocks without getting short of breath. I got blisters on my feet, my legs hurt. I got the flu because, my immune system was poor. So many things happened on that trip that, I want to say I had an amazing time, but it wasn't because I wasn't performing the way that I should have. If I was even just moving a little bit more in my day, even if I was just eating a little bit better, it probably would have been better for me, and it wasn't. And that's when I kind of said, this is not how I want to live. I don't want to have to worry about, going to all these great destinations and not being able to see anything. Why travel if you can't get out and interact with the local culture, to walk around and see what beautiful sights there are to see. And so that's when I decided, I would like to actually blend that aspiration I had back in 2010 as an RN personal trainer and focus more on people who are traveling and traveling for a longer period of time, because I was going to be moving away and I was going to be traveling longer term. I didn't want this to be my life where I couldn't do anything. It's different when you're sedentary and you're at home, you plop yourself on the sofa and that's it. When you're traveling, you're always moving. And I started to develop high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and all of these conditions that people over 40 start to develop when we don't take care of ourselves. And so that's kind of the long story of how I decided that travel would be my focus, because I lived it and it's something that I feel is necessary in terms of education and prevention. This is an important topic for digital nomads, for expats, and for people who travel a lot.
So I know that you folks will probably have some questions as well for Kiya. We'd also like to hear some of your questions as well too. Before I go into some of the questions that were sent to me by people who knew that they weren't going to be able to attend. We have some other folks joining us as well too. Does anybody have some questions before we go to one of the questions that were submitted? I always try to give the option to those who are here live priority before we go to the questions that others who are not here but will be watching the replay. Any questions so far for Kiya? Let's see. Finding mobility. This is from Maura. Finding mobility an issue or when traveling. Sorry, hold on for just 1 second. Your question. Okay, there we go. Yes, finding mobility an issue more when traveling lately. Went to Sri Lanka recently, and the steps.
No,
You clicked on the steps.
that was a typo. It's steps, and steps.
Okay.
When you go to Sri Lanka, you realize just how many steps there are.
Right.
Everything that's of interest is on a mountain. So, yeah, no, it's more a statement than a question, but I guess I can form it into a question, I guess is, is returning back to, when you travel, you're always on the move. I mean, luckily here in New York City, we're used to walking too. So, but still, it is much more of an effort than I used to have. And I guess what could you, any advice on improving one's health? Or I think I had the same kind of journey. I used to be fit and healthy, and I've kind of now that I work remote as well, it's I'm not as more sedentary than I used to be, and trying to break that and get out there, because I want to travel, and I don't want to have the same experience I had in Sri Lanka. Even though I still had a lovely experience, it was tough going. Anyway.
Well, if we could, thank you for that question, Maura. And just before Kiya goes on to answer or respond to that, as far as maybe how to prepare more for travel, we did have Vicky join us, and we just wanted to say hello, Vicky. Thank you for joining us. And we did do a quick introduction at the very beginning. If you could tell us where you are originally from, and also where you are currently, and just briefly, where are you on your digital nomad journey as well, too?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you. We can hear you.
Okay, it's hard for me to understand if the camera's working or if the microphone is working. I can't tell on my cell phone, but thank you for having me. I guess I am from Washington State in the United States, and I'm in New York now. And I guess I have been working remotely for probably 10 years or so.
Oh.
So I'm interested
True
in
veteran. Pardon? I'm sorry. I was just saying that you were a true veteran with 10 years, remote as well as travel experience in that regard. So thank you very much for joining us. And now I'm going to hand it back over to Kiya to respond to Maura's comment.
Maura, that's a great comment. And Sri Lanka, I haven't been to Sri Lanka, but when I think about steps, I mean, I can think about it's called Bom Jesus in Portugal. There are a number of steps in Braga, Portugal, even just the incline in Lisbon of the hills. And this is all over the world. There are so many inclines in so many places that we don't even realize exist until we get there and we're like, whoa, I have to walk up that. So there are lots of things that you and everyone can do to prepare for that. When we live a sedentary life, when we, work remotely and we don't have an opportunity to get up and move around, yes, it's hard to walk regularly, to even, try stairs up and down. But those are things that I do encourage. And even taking 5-10 minutes out of the day to do those things to prepare are very helpful. And just to do those things as a routine for yourself. And so one of the things that I like to say is, I don't like to call it working out, because when I find, at least for myself, when I call it working out, it becomes a task that I have to do for the day. And sometimes it's a task that I don't want to do, or I put on the back burner, and I'm like, okay, I'll get to that later. And by the end of the night, I didn't do it, and I feel awful, and I'm still not going to do it. So it doesn't get done. But if you just put it in as, okay, every hour, I'm going to get up and walk to the kitchen and get something, or every hour I'm going to get up and walk around the living room, or walk around the block, or walk around anywhere, even walk in place. If you don't have, some place to go, walking in the area you're in, a hotel room, for a short period of time, you're getting some steps. And if it's easier to give yourself a step goal, and you don't have to have a fancy watch to do that. If you have a smartphone, you can use that. You can buy, a $5 or $10 pedometer and hold on to that. But I really think having a pedometer is an invaluable tool. So if there's nothing else that you have, get a pedometer and just make sure that you're getting in, set a goal for yourself, 5,000 steps. 7,000 steps is a great number of steps that you can get in for the day, and get those steps in by every hour, take a break and walk or get some steps in. That can help to condition you for those times when you have to walk a longer distance or walk up some hills. When you see an elevator and you see a set of stairs, take the stairs instead. Now, I'm not saying you have to take 4 flights of stairs, but sometimes we go to the mall and they have the escalator to go from one floor to the other. Try and take the stairs. And even if, in the beginning you have to stop in the middle, take a look around, be present in that moment, enjoy where you are. Not a lot of people can walk upstairs, enjoy that moment and then continue walking. And as you continue incorporating this into your life, it gets easier and easier, and the steps don't become as difficult or cumbersome. Now, I'm not saying that when, you go back to Sri Lanka and you have all those stairs, it's going to be a walk in the park. It might still be difficult because there are often a lot of stairs, but you will have preconditioned yourself in a way that it's not going to be as difficult as you thought it would be. It's not going to be something that you're going to be dreading this time because you're prepared for it. And you just take your time, step by step, watch your breathing, and go for it. There are going to be opportunities in everywhere you go, unless you're going to, someplace that's really flat, but then you might have a distance to walk. Just prepare yourself by setting a step goal and trying to achieve it each day. And you will see it will work wonders for you.
I'd like to share one experience that I had. I just recently came back from what I call my my 6-week holiday, where I had been here in Medellin for almost 4 weeks. And then I left to go down to La Paz, Bolivia, and then Peru. Did get to Machu Picchu, Ecuador, and then back here to Medellin. And one of the things that I was doing during those 3 weeks, because I know that I had some problems with my knees, which I realized were going to sort of limit my mobility if I didn't start addressing them myself. In fact, I almost had knee replacement surgery this December when I was back in, but I was able to totally avoid that and be, some would say miraculously, but it was due to 𝗓𝗥𝗓 injections that I had been taking, and it finally kicked in. In fact, that's another example, I think, of how we might need to adjust our lives around being older digital nomads, in that the reason why I came back to the United States in September in such pain and scheduled myself for knee replacement surgery when it seemed that the 𝗓𝗥𝗓 injections were not going to work this year as they had been since 2018, is because I abused my knees last year. I was traveling, I had my backpack, and I did 15 countries in the 8 months of my nomading for 2023. And in some cases, like in Romania, I did 5 nights in Budapest. Well, anyhow. And then 5 nights in Sibiu, thank goodness I can pronounce that. And then 5 nights in Timisoara. And I was hopping on buses and trains and planes and automobiles that whole period. And that is why my knees sort of gave out on me. And now that's one of the reasons why I'm here in Medellin for an extended period of time, because I'm trying to use this year to make sure that I don't abuse my knees as I did the last time. But the first 3 weeks, in anticipation of the fact that I was going to be going to La Paz, is the highest capital in the world, and the impact of the less oxygen in the air is a major factor that one has to deal with. And so during the 3 weeks that I was here in Medellin, I took advantage of the fact that Medellin is in a bowl and I'm in the basin. Where I'm living is in Manila, and it's kind of like in the basin. But 2 blocks here, the basin goes up the side, very very steep incline with not a whole lot of gradual in that process. And so I was race walking up and down, and then on alternate days, I would race walk within the basin of Medellin. So it was a little bit more level. And I would have to say that those 3 weeks of really using that as a lung conditioning exercise helped when I did arrive in La Paz. Just as you said, it's not as though it's not as though I did not have any altitude impact, but it was definitely less, particularly, as being an older person, it was less than what some of the younger people were complaining about. So yes, indeed, if you can start to condition yourself before your travel and continue doing it on an ongoing basis, then your travel is not going to, you're going to feel more comfortable and enjoy more of your travel when you do that. So who has another question for Kiya before we go on to one that had been sent into us? Does somebody have another question at this time, or should I just go on to Fawn?
There were some questions that people put in the chat.
Hold
Yes,
on.
I put one, actually.
Okie dokie.
Should I just speak it? It's Doreen. So I was saying
Okay.
that I'm curious about how your business works. And maybe this isn't the type of question we need.
No, actually,
asking,
that's a good question. And it also ties into, actually, if you could, folks, just go ahead, because as you can see, I'm still getting used to the whole process of doing this. So I wasn't even checking to see your questions in the chat. I just figured that since this is an open discussion, I will be asking you to express your questions verbally while we're going through this. So, but your question really does tie into one of the other questions that somebody had asked. How did she repeat that again for us, Fawn? You were curious how her business works, and one of the questions
was
that
Doreen,
had been offered
actually,
was
not Fawn.
how is your approach to health and wellness influenced by nomad life? And also, I think what also ties into how her business works as a nomad is how does technology impact or is used in her coaching as well too, with those who are traveling. So
Okay. So I, of course, am virtual with my clients, clearly. I work with women who are all over the world. I also work with men, but privately. So the way that I structure my business is to have, and it's a little different because my focus has really strengthened into travel health more so this year. Last year, as I was making a transition, what happens is because I've been immersed in this community since 2017, most of my clients are digital nomads, expats, or people who travel frequently. And so that's who I work with. And that's kind of how, with my experience and with their experiences, decided, you know what, I'm just going to say that this is what my focus is, because that's what my focus was. And so I specialize in weight management and stress management. And so I work with women who are looking to improve their overall wellness, who are looking to strengthen and condition themselves so that when they travel, they have the ability to do so and be comfortable while they're doing it. I also work with people who have chronic conditions or who have high risks for chronic conditions. Maybe their doctor has said that they need to lose weight because they have an impending surgery, or they have high blood pressure and they're at risk for cardiac disease, or they have diabetes and they need to manage that while they're traveling. And because I'm a nurse, I have that experience to be able to guide and do medical management with people who have those conditions. What I have is a 12-week program that I work with, and this is specific to women who are looking to lose weight and condition themselves and learn how to manage eating well, moving more while they're away, because there's a lot of challenges to that when you go from country to country, understanding how to avoid choosing the convenience option and getting the healthier choice. How do you move if you're stuck in a hotel room or you're in a studio and you only have a hot plate? What are you supposed to eat? These are challenges that, I face, that a lot of people who travel on a regular basis face. And in order to maintain your wellness, these are challenges that I help women overcome and learn how to manage on their own, so that once they learn, they don't need me anymore. So I act as a guide and a coach. I meet with women, and it depends on how you would like to work with me. I meet with women on a one-to-one basis. And with the 12-week program, there's usually 4 times that we meet. I have an initial call that goes over your physical and your emotional readiness for travel. How are you doing? It's a whole body assessment, not only your health background, but it also encompasses your physical background, like how conditioned are you? How mentally ready are you to embark on the journeys that you're taking on? And then we move from there. I create a wellness program, and you start to work on it. And I follow you throughout that course. We meet 3 additional times during that 12 weeks face-to-face. And in that period, we also meet weekly, not virtually, but as a check-in. You have access to me via audio and message whenever you need me. Reach out with questions if you're having challenges, whatever you're having difficulty with during that 12-week program. You're with me, you're working with me. I'm there for you. And again, all of those things, depending on what your circumstances is, if you need help with medical management, if you need help with, whatever, I'm there to assist you. And that's, again, primarily for women who are looking to lose weight. I'm restructuring it a little bit because some people don't necessarily need to lose weight, but they need to improve their health because they have a chronic condition that they need to manage. And, the food that they're eating and the movement that they're not getting, is not helpful to them on the move. And as we get older, these things start to add up, and we don't always have access to our primary doctors. We do need some additional guidance. There are some specific things related to travel health that, a lot of people, including myself back in the day, have not been educated on, that I assist with through this 12-week program. And then I assist, and this is with the men as well, people individually who just need some guidance. You are planning on going away and maybe you have some concerns that you want to address, some health concerns. You want to make sure that you are prepared, that you have the right vaccinations, that you have the right prescriptions, that you have the right know-how to take care of yourself when you are away. And I can continue to follow you, for the length of time that you are away. So there are lots of ways that I work with my clients. I do one-on-one. I do follow-ups, again, via messaging, text and voice. And It really just depends on what it is that you need assistance with. And if it's something that I'm not offering, I'm always willing to create something unique to your current situation. Great, great. Was that helpful, Fawn?
Thank you. No, it's
Doreen.
Doreen that asked the question, not
Doreen.
Fawn.
Great.
Ms.
Are you
Doreen.
hearing me? I'm not sure you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes. Now, Fawn, did you also have a question that you dropped in the chat?
No,
Okay.
I did not. I was simply calling attention to the questions that I
Question.
saw.
Thank you.
Coming
I
through the
appreciate that. Does anybody else have a question at this time, or should we go to one that had been sent in? Okay. Tips for staying healthy while one is traveling. Do you have any tips that you can offer us, Kiya? Do you have? I'm sure you have some tips that you can offer us. First, I'm stating the question as it was presented, but I'm sure that you have some tips for us.
Have tons of tips. The biggest tip that I have, and the biggest tip that I have is it revolves around movement and just move more. If you have an opportunity to take a walking tour somewhere, take it. If you have an opportunity to go dancing, go dancing. It is such a great thing to move your body because, you know, we take it for granted now that we can, but, you know, soon, if you don't use it, you lose it. And moving your body is one of the things that you lose. And you don't realize how quickly that ability can go away until it's gone. And so if I can give you like the strongest tip is to learn how to incorporate movement into your life every day. Set a step goal and keep it. You know, it's a lot easier to set a step goal than it is to set a workout goal. And don't set like a 10,000 a day step goal. Start small. If 5,000 is what you think that you can accomplish now, that's where you start. And then you just continually incrementally increase it. But that's the biggest thing, especially as we get older, the more sedentary we are at this age, the more difficult it is to get up and move. I don't know if you have experienced it. I have, but if you have been sitting for a long period of time, you know, when you're younger, you can just get up and that's it. When you're older, it takes a little longer to get up out of the chair. And once you get out of the chair, you have, you know, the soreness in your back, and it takes a little while for your legs to get moving the way you want them to. But if you just incorporate movement into your day, that gets better and better. You do feel, your body feels like it's younger again because, you know, you're taking advantage of those opportunities to engage it. And that's the biggest tip that I have.
Excellent, excellent. I'd like to also add to that, as you'd mentioned, since you mentioned about going on the walking tour, and I think I told you about, there's a walking tour here in Medellin that as of yesterday, when I had two friends who had come down here, that was the seventh time that I've been on the walk. Yes, seventh, not second, seventh time that I've been on a walking tour, the same walking tour in El Centro of Medellin. And one of the things that I enjoy about not only going on the tour is because it's always new information that I'm getting. I'm sorry, I apologize we're on the roof of the place where I live here and the guest house where I live here. And so it's a good location, except sometimes there's a little bit of background noise going on. But not only do I go on this walking tour repeatedly, it's a free walking tour, just give a tip. But not only do I enjoy typically a good start, it starts at 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning. And I know that typically I get about anywhere from 9,000 to 10,000 steps in as a part of the tour. But at the same time, this is another thing, we're talking about physical wellness, but physical readiness, but another part of being a digital nomad is your wellness as from an emotional standpoint. And one of the things that I enjoy doing on a walk is identifying. I usually look for somebody who's also by themselves, and at some point, kind of saddle up to them and say, hey, so how long are you in Medellin? And, and sort of chat them up, because I also go on walking tours to meet people and usually towards the end of the walking tour, it's lunchtime. And I say, hey, does anybody want to go get lunch? And usually ask the guide any suggestions for where we should go. And I've met so many people. So it has helped me not only with my physical wellness, but also with my emotional wellness, being pretty much a solo digital nomad as well too. So does anybody have another question, or should I pull another one from the list? Okay. Technology used in your coaching. How do you utilize that?
Well, I am not technologically savvy, so the technology that I use is very user-friendly, so that anyone who is able to use Zoom and who is able to use an app on their phone to send text messages and who can send an email can work with me. That's as simple as it gets. With my program, if you do join one of my 12-week programs, I do use it's a computer system, but again, it's very user-friendly, it's very easy to navigate. I like to make it easy, not only for my clients, but for myself, because I have to use it every day myself as well. And so I try to make technology, because there's so much and there's such a learning curve. I want to try to avoid having an additional learning curve added on to what you're going to be working with. So it's very, very, very simple. I try to minimize the amount of technology and do a lot more one-on-one. I'm talking to you. One of the best parts of nursing for me is, patient interaction, patient education, and it's hard to do, when you're texting or emailing. So as much as I can get one-on-one or through audio, I try to do that as often as I can with my clients.
I'd like to add something.
Yeah, please.
There I am again. I'd like to add something regarding technology. And I'm sure you probably do this, with your clients as well too. And that is that there's a world of exercise, a plethora truly of exercise videos that you can tap into on YouTube. I started doing this when I choose to stay in Ecuador rather than come back to the United States. And I was in COVID isolation because that was 2020. And there was a fairly strict curfew, which is one of the reasons why I stayed there as compared to going back to the United States. That country was really taking COVID very seriously. And so the curfew started at 2:00 in the afternoon. And even between 5 and 2:00, 5 o'clock in the morning, 2:00 was the time that you can be out for groceries, for pharmacy visit, or for essential work. And you could also walk to exercise. The only problem for me with walking to exercise is that, like a lot of Latin American countries, the sidewalk is very uneven. You could be walking along and there's literally a hole this big in the sidewalk. These are not litigious countries. They don't expect people to sue the municipality for injuries. And so I just didn't feel comfortable race walking, which was my favorite exercise, on the street. So I started looking on YouTube for workouts that I could do in my space in the home that I was renting. And I enjoy that so much that I still do that and use that to complement the race walking that I do. Now, for instance, here in Medellin, I, you know, and also even if there's my other favorite exercise is kickboxing. And I use, I no longer have the access to the video, but when I first started traveling, I did audio recordings of the videos that I was using for my kickboxing workout. My two favorite, one is 20-minute, one's 40-minute. And now I'm to the point where all I need to do is put my earphone in and listen to it, that recording on my phone. And because I've been doing these workouts so often, I don't need the video anymore. Just the audio prompts and the really good music that that they use for these workouts is enough to keep me going. So that's one way that you can also utilize technology to help, you know, with your workouts as well too.
I will preface that with saying that it's very important to make sure that you're choosing someone who is reputable, because it's very easy to find a YouTuber who is doing exercises inappropriately, and then you learn the inappropriate way to do it and wind up with an injury. And that's something that, you know, we don't want you to have. So always, whenever you're starting something new, look up to make sure that the person that you're using is reputable, that the exercises and the movements that they're doing are correct. Because if your form is not correct, then again, you can end up with an injury. And just make sure, you know, regardless of how many followers they could have 1 million followers and still be doing it wrong. Just make sure that you're following someone who knows what they're doing.
Excellent. I need to do that for myself as well too. So we're at the top of the hour. Unless do we have any additional questions for Kiya before we close out? Any other questions out there? Well, thank you all for joining us today. I really do appreciate Kiya being not only, normally she would be, you know, she would Zoom in. Normally our guests Zoom in, but she also is here in Medellin. So we thought, what a perfect opportunity to do this. And we were just happy to have you here. And thank you so much. Keep in mind that we also have next month, next month, we do have the Q&A, not the Q&A, but the live cafe social. But as we just recently had a live cafe social called the Women's Room, because it was only women, we have coming up in June, Father's Day, actually, live cafe social that is just for the men of Digital Nomad Beyond 50. And hopefully that they will be, and keep in mind, the socials are not recorded. That's so that people can be very free with their conversation and not worry about it being on YouTube in the future. So, but just keep in mind that we alternate the two. And I have a question for those who remain for our giveaway. Okay, who is, let's see, Doreen, where is your next trip going to? Where is your next plan, or on the plan, either your planned trip or your ticket you've already booked? Either way, where is your next trip that you are hoping to make?
Iceland.
Iceland. Oh, okay. Excellent. Excellent. And let's see, Vicki, where's your next trip?
My next trip is going to be Mexico.
Mexico. Okie dokie. And you're in the United States, correct?
Yes, I am.
Mexico. And Doreen, you're also currently in the United States, correct?
No, I'm in Canada.
You're in Canada. Some people say, yeah, the same thing. No, I'm not. I'm just teasing. I am just teasing. I'm just teasing because I know that it's not. But so many people behave as though it is. And Maura, I believe you said that you were in New York.
Yes, I'm in New York City.
Okay. And where will your next trip take you?
I'm either El Salvador or Malta.
Or
Two
where?
different- Say that again?
Malta? You said El Salvador or Malta?
Yeah, it depends on whether I cross the Atlantic. It'd probably be Malta or just do a quick trip to El Salvador. I had to skip that when I was in South America the last time.
Okay, okay. Well, it appears as though I do believe that Iceland may be the further distance from Iceland may be the further distance from Canada than El Salvador from New York. So we're going to award our gift, our travel gift, to Doreen. And while I have you on the phone, Doreen, on the screen, for this month, this is our travel gift. Unfortunately, I won't be able to put the Digital Nomad Beyond 50 sticker on, but I can show you what's inside. It's a little toolkit that has SIM cards, places to store your SIM cards, as well as jump cables. They're mini jump cables, but they're jump cables whether you have an Android or an iPhone. And there's also a SIM card, I call it a SIM card pick, but it's the device that you use to open the drawer. And also a USB that can also be used with either the iPhone or the what am I trying to say? Or
The
the
Android?
Android. Yes, exactly. And this one here, I am giving as a thank you.
Oh,
Very much. To Kiya. And I will need you, Doreen, to send me your address so that I can have this delivered to you, the little device or the kit delivered to you from Amazon.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you so much. I've never seen something like that, so that's really useful. Yeah, no, it's very cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And we hope to see you again in either another Q&A as well as another Life Cafe social. Bye.
thank you.
Take care.